Hey up, what's this? Everything you need to know about the world of Apex Legends. Really? Are you kidding me right now? Alright, I'll take this into my own hands. Let me tell you how this story really went down. It's time to give my turn of events. So, let's start from the beginning, shall we? Let's. In the year 2600, Earth was, for lack of a better term, not really doing so well. I mean, pollution, overpopulation, and overall not good looking after of the planet Earth has really just done it in. And humanity are sort of in a dire effort. Well, they have colonized other planets such as Mars, Neptune, Venus, Pluto, Mercury, the Moon, basically any planet that's not like a gas giant. But humanity, being, well, humanity, want more land and just resources in general. So a company known as Hammond Robotics, which we are now know as the Intergalactic Mining Corporation, or the Intergalactic Manufacturing Corporation, when it got a little bit bigger, or just the IMC for short, decided to develop a revolutionary device called the Jump Drive. This has allowed human ships and starships and all sorts to travel light years and light years very, very easily and efficiently, and thus the frontier was discovered, a place full of life, teeming with, well, life, teeming with life, resources, minerals, all sorts, habitable planets, and all sorts. So the IMC just got right to work. They set up colonies, set up resource gathering stuff, and set up jump routes to link both the frontier back to the core. The core, as if you are unsure what that is basically just another word for the solar system, and it's how they link stuff. And they use the planet Demeter to link all those jump routes and such. Now, the IMC were like very, very just they were all right in the frontier, but the solar system was getting a little bit mad and like angry that the frontier was getting a lot of attention. So they sort of went into some loads of riots. So the IMC had to abandon the frontier for a bit to go back to the solar system. And while they did this, they left a few people in charge in the frontier just to keep guard of it and just such. We are now in the year 2700. And eventually, after the riots was quelled in the frontier, not the frontier, the solar system, the IMC decided, we forgot about the frontier. But by the time they got back to the frontier was like, I like this land. It's like the frontier. I think I'll just keep it myself and not let the IMC have any of it. So the IMC was obviously really mad and was like, "Oi, that's ours!" And well, this kicked off the Titan Wars, or the Frontier War, if you would like to call it, where the IMC employed massive combat mechanized robots known as Titans to fight against, well, the civilians of the frontier, and a lot of awful stuff happened, like a lot of death and destruction, all sorts of bad stuff. So the Frontier Militia was formed. This is kind of like the Rebel Alliance of Titanfall, and they were formed out of pirates, bounty hunters, civilians, captains, and farmers too. Just a lot of people who just wanted the IMC gone to stop terrorizing the frontier. So they rallied together under a common unified goal to destroy the IMC, or at least get them the heck out of the frontier. And they did just that, with help from a few traitors like McAllen, who was a former IMC soldier, but decided to go against the IMC after he saw what was bad. And he worked together with the militia commander, Sarah Briggs, to essentially kick the Titanfall war off, essentially properly, by stealing IMC Titans and making them their own. And the militia eventually started to get good ground against the IMC by winning such battles on the raid on the Yuma system, where they blew up a planet, I think. I'm not really sure. I can't really play Titanfall 1's campaign, but I know a lot of stuff happened. And then it got to the point where they went to the planet Demeter, where a massive battle occurred, and it was to stop the IMC from refueling, from getting more help from the IMC that was set up in the solar system. Now, when this happened, McAllen met Blisk, an apex predator, Now these guys are a bunch of mercenaries who are not very nice and such, but Blisk was one of those people who was working with the IMC for a just to get paid essentially. He was a commander in the IMC. And he fought McAllen, but ultimately McAllen sacrificed himself to blow up Demeter and stop the IMC from getting back to the solar system. This left the IMC stranded, and they soon became the Remnant Fleet. And Bliss decided to just leave and make his own mercenary corps, known as the Apex Predators. And when this all happened, the militia got the advantage, and let's just say they wanted to wipe out the rest of the Remnant Fleet. And they now set course towards Typhon, a planet where the IMC is building some strange new weapon. And this is where we are first introduced to our first hero of this story. Let me show you who he is.
Great. Just gotta kill a few bad guys.
Jack was born on Earth. He was, for lack of a better term, didn't have a nice childhood growing up. He experienced the horrors of the overpopulation, overpollution of Earth. And his parents decided that when he was only, well, an infant, they and took him with them to the frontier to start a new life. He was raised and just grew up on Harmony, the main planet of where the IMC first settled, and he lived his life, just as anyone did, trying to make life in the frontier good for himself and his family. But the IMC put a stop to those plans, and Jack, being the ever courageous man he was, decided to sign up with the Frontier Militia. His first battle was during the events of Titanfall 1, where I mentioned before about the Yuma raid. Unfortunately, Cooper, for lack of a better term, suffered a head injury when during the battle. This left him with amnesia, where he forgot that the battle even happened in the Yuma system. And this brings us to today, where by the time he recovered, he missed the Battle of Demeter, but he remembers it, and it is now being sent to the planet Typhon, under the SRS of a certain type of the Marauder Corps and such. He's been sent there, along with his captain Ty Lastimosa, and now Ty. He took Cooper under his wing and tried to train him to be a pilot. Now, pilots are advanced super soldiers that are given the ability to wall run, double jump, and perform extreme feats of just awesomeness. And it takes a lot of skill and practice to become one. And they link with the Titans to form a powerful team, a bond between man and machine that could decimate anything. Cooper was only a class 3 rifleman, and but Ty saw potential in him. He taught him a few things about how to be a pilot, but just as Cooper was about to experience a Titan for the first time, the call is sounded, and Cooper is sent to Typhon, with Ty leading him. And this is roughly in the year 2715, by the way. The initial invasion was sort of a disaster. Jack landed and into the danger zone. It was just chaos. While he managed to take out a few grunts and a few spectres, he came across the apex predators: Viper, Richter, Ash, Blisk, and Kane, and Sloan. These guys are just absolutely bad business, and they would have got Jack if it wasn't for Lastimosa, who came in the nick of time to save him. But ultimately, the apex predators surrounded and cornered Ty. He was defeated by them, and Cooper passed out. The next day, Cooper awoke to see awoke to Proud was about to eat him up, but right as they was about to eat him, Ty in his last breath shot at them and saved Jack's life again. Now, Ty collapsed out of his Titan, BT-7274, and with his dying breath, gave Jack his helmet and his jump kit, saying to Jack that it was time for him to become a pilot, and he died in Cooper's arms. Cooper would bury him, and then tried on the helmet and the pilot armor himself. Now, since he hadn't really had any proper training apart from the Sims, Cooper needed to get used to it. But before he got the chance to, the Titan awoke and requested that he finded him some batteries. Jack would do just that, and he would find some batteries for the Titan. After being powered up, BT would now recognise that Cooper is his acting pilot. Jack is initially confused by this, but goes along with it anyway, saying that he can do this. And against all odds, after a bit of training and wall running, he mastered it. He mastered his cloaking technology, his wall running, and his double jump, and the ability to punch someone in one hit and killing them. It's kind of scary. Either way, after doing this, BT suggests that Cooper should link with him, and he did just that, linking with the Titan, and now BT is now his acting Titan. Now BT recommends they try and regroup with General Anderson in the original drop zone, which Cooper apparently unfortunately missed, and they do just that. They explore the Typhon and come across a few crash ships, where Cooper first hears about Sarah Briggs. This is a thing that he will discover. He's someone he will discover soon, and they make their way towards an IMC bunker or base or whatever. They help a few militia survivors who also survived the main crash, and they make their way inside the facility. They come across Kane, one of the most psychotic apex predators ever, who taunts Jack the entire way. Cooper and BT learn to trust each other through this facility, surviving tons of robots, scary red waterfalls of toxic water, and get a better appreciation for each other. During this, they come across Kane, and against all odds, Jack manages to kill him. And after this happens, he eavesdrops on a conversation between the Apex Predators. I think it's between Sloan and Blisk. And for the lack of a better term, Jack is spooked by them. After this, they come across another facility where Jack and BT are unfortunately split up, and BT has to guide Cooper by voice alone through the facility. This is where he comes across Ash for the first time. A simulacrum, long story short, they're basically just people who are in the minds of people in like a cyborg robot body. It's a long story. And Cooper is tested by Ash and just tested and tasked, and along with a couple militia prisoners to do some, test for just combat test where you would expect not to survive. But Jack, being Jack, obviously survives them. This causes Ash to rethink a strategy and fight him head on. And by the time, Cooper and BT are reunited, and as always, Jack quickly dispatches Ash, killing her, crushing her, and they quickly find an exit out of the facility. A few hours later, they come across another facility, which is actually an old IMC testing lab. I think it's called Ares, not too sure, I can't remember. No, is it Ares or... Yeah, it's some sort of research development, where Cooper and BT come across a prototype to what we now know as the arc weapon. Something terrible has happened and it's exploded, causing mass destruction. Their goal originally was to regroup Major Anderson, but after a bit of discovering, Cooper finds out that Anderson got into a bit of a fight and ended up in a wall. Cooper retrieves a weird device that allows him to travel time, like jumping through the past to the future. He travels into the past to discover that this facility was originally thriving only a few days ago, but some awful disaster happened with that weapon, and it's really just horrible occurred, causing the time to be just distorted and broken up. Jack would make his way to this prototype, and time would seem to freeze as he made his way there. He grabbed what was known as the prototype of the Ark, and he stored it and kept it with him as BT instructed them to now try and get into contact with the rest of the militia to tell them that they have the core of the Ark. Now, the Apex Predators were looking for this thing, and Jack had managed to find it first. So let's just say they're not too happy. They make their way to some sort of radar rig, or some sort of giant, I don't know what it is. It's like some communication device, but it's all broken and collapsed. This is where Jack and BT go to fix it. They come across a few malicious soldiers who need a bit of backup from them. They help clear out the rest of the IMC from there. And upon doing this, they come across, there's the main militia garrison there, and they inform Cooper that in order to get the facility back up and running and get call for help, they have to restore the power and replace the dish. So Jack does just that. He restores power in a radiation tube, in a radiation thing, while using grabbing a weapon from some sort of power generating weapon, and he uses it to power the place up. After doing this, he's then assigned to realign the dish. So Cooper does just that. He follows Beat. Him and BT go to the main area, and Jack uses his wall-running piloting skills to travel all the way there, while also eavesdropping in on the Apex Predator Richter, who taunts and mocks him and just doesn't want him to accomplish his task, and decides to do it himself. So after Jack realigns the dish and gets it back, he ends up slipping and falling down, but BT just manages to catch him in the nick of time. They give each other a thumbs up, but then we come across Richter. Now, he's just not as insane as the other Apex Predators, but he still wants Coop dead, so Jack easily kills him as well. And then BT calls for the militia to help them and the stranded garrison there. A militia ship arrives, and Sarah Briggs, the commander, greets Cooper. She originally does not think Jack is a good pilot for BT, but BT reinstates that Jack is skilled and shows potential, just like Ty would have said. Sarah begrudgingly agrees, and the two of them are then transported into the ship. They make their way to another facility with Sarah and the rest of the militia. She accompanies Jack on this mission to see how he performs, and they Titanfall to that facility. to find the rest of the pieces of the ark, stop the IMC from assembling it all. But after a struggle that involves tons of fighting and skirmishes, Sloane and Blisk get away with the rest of the ark, and Sarah advises Cooper that they should chase after him, and they do just that. They then make their way towards the main arc weapon, and this is where Cooper is introduced to the 6-4. Davis, Droz, Bear, and Gates, along with Barker from the Angel City. What are they called? Angels? No. Angels. I forgot what there's some sort of faction he's part of, but whatever. And but unfortunately, on the way there, Cooper comes across one of these greatest opponents, Viper. And as you guys know, Viper is sort of a pest. So him and BT try to attack Viper, but Viper just keeps going at him and at him and at him. And one of the ships are destroyed by him. Cooper makes his way and captures an IMC ship and sort of destroys it, but with the help from the 6-4, he manages to steer it the correct way to stop it from crashing into such. But Viper approaches once more, and Jack and BT are given no choice but to fight and kill him. Cooper does manage to disarm him originally by shooting him down, but just as BT is lining up to throw Cooper, softball style. Softball strategy is basically where Titan throws their pilot. BT did this earlier when they was at the relay thing. But regardless, as he was aiming to throw Cooper, Viper attacks once more, managing to actually disable BT and destroy his arm, his left arm, I think. And Cooper has a perfect opportunity since BT has now destroyed the hatch of Viper's North Star Titan, leaving Viper himself exposed. Cooper runs over to Viper and shoots him square in the face, killing him. Viper collapses to the floor, and Cooper has unknowingly just killed the father of Valkyrie, or Karyamahara, the daughter of him. But Jack does not know this, and he proceeds with his mission. After this, Jack realizes that the ship he was controlling earlier was about to crash. So BT, in an attempt to shield Jack from the crash, uses himself as a barricade, causing him to get damaged as soon as they crash. Cooper is knocked out once more, and the next thing he knows, he's been captured by Sloane and Blisk, where the Apex Predator interrogates Jack. Cooper bites his tongue and doesn't say a peep, and even threatens Blisk like a true hero. But after Blisk points a gun to his head, BT unfortunately showed him the location where the Ark was, which was inside him. And Blisk goes to grab it, but BT attacks everyone with the little power he has left. Sloane and Blisk get away, with Blisk having the core to the Ark. And Sloane defeats destroys the rest of BT's chassis. With the place now on fire, BT's Sear Kit instructs Cooper to take the Sear Kit out of the destroyed chassis. After doing this, Cooper not only gets the main controlling part of BT. I don't really know what that is. The thing that allows BT to go into a different Titan and just function as normal. But he also gets the knife. What's it called again? The pilot knife, where it allows him to hack stuff. But he also gets the smart pistol. Well, this allows him to navigate through the burning facility, where Sarah gets in contact with him. Upon doing this, she sends him a new Titan chassis to replace BT's broken one. Cooper puts the core into the chassis, and BT is back. They then make their way towards the main Arc weapon, where it is just charging up and about to fire on Harmony. As shown, unlike the prototype, this one actually works, and when it hits a planet, it's essentially just a giant railgun that uses Arc alien technology to essentially annihilate a planet once it hits it, and it was targeting Harmony. Cooper only has minutes, if not seconds, to disarm the weapon or destroy it. They make their way towards the firing control and come across Sloane and Bliss once again, where Sloane tries to fight Cooper. As shown before, Jack easily overpowers and kills her. After this, BT tries to disable the weapon himself, but is blown back from some sort of blast This knocks Jack out once more, but once he awakens, he sees Blisk on top of him, awaiting a fight. Jack gets ready for one, but Blisk instead doesn't want to fight Cooper, but decides to give Jack an invitation to the Apex Predators. Blisk also sees potential in Jack as a pilot, and well, it's pretty impressed that he killed all of his employees. So he leaves Jack and doesn't fight him, so he lives for another day. And Jack and BT decide that the only way to stop the arc weapon is to destroy it. And Jack ponders about sacrificing himself to do it, but BT, always the protective one, activates Protocol 3 to protect the pilot, and he throws Cooper away from the main blast zone, sacrificing himself to save Jack. Cooper pleads that this is not a good idea, but it happens anyway, and Jack witnesses his robotic friend explode and destroy the arc weapon. But the battle is not done yet, and as the place is falling apart, Cooper has to navigate himself through the raining rocks and falling debris around him. Sarah manages to catch up with him, and just in the nick of time, she catches him in the ship, and they manage to zoom away. And as all this happens, Typhon is destroyed by the arc. Sarah says that BT's sacrifice will not be in vain, and what Cooper did was the stuff that makes heroes. And Jack became just that, a hero of the frontier, who officially ended the war against the Remnant fleet. The militia head back to Harmony, and Cooper says that he will now be inducted into the SRS, assigned a new Titan as well. He says that he's going to miss the old one, but for now, this is where his story ends. But we are not done yet. Sometime after the Battle of Typhon, another battle is waged on the planet of Gridiron, but not many people know about what really happened there. But essentially, the IMC had a last stand there, or the Remnant fleet, and the militia was sent in to destroy them. Losses were catastrophic on both sides, and maybe Cooper did fight in that conflict, but I'm not sure if he was there or not. But it ended in a militia victory, fortunately. But after this, a giant EMP, or blackout as they call it, struck the entire frontier, blocking all jump routes from everywhere and separating the frontier from another part of space called the Outlands. 20 years after the war ended, the Outlands, which was originally a smaller settlement settled by the IMC back in the 2600s, eventually became its own separate thing. It's considered the fringe of the frontier, and even further away than most of the planets in the frontier. The Outlands is a very separate, remote part, which is a lot more dangerous and full of hostile creatures and wildlife. Not really a good place to be setting up any towns or cities and such. After the blackout that started with the Battle of Gridiron, many frontier settlers decided that the frontier was not a safe environment after the blackout. The war had devastated tons of planets, but some people did stay behind to pick up the pieces, such as Jack, Sarah, Barker, Gates, Davis and Droz, Bear, all sorts. But a lot of people went to start a new life, again, in the Outlands, also known as Syndicate Space. And I'll tell you more about the Syndicate later. As this all happened, though, the Outlands, well, ever since the IMC was officially destroyed by the militia, sort of went into some weird, power vacuum or, some massive conflict. Kind of like taking a match to a pile of matches and just, setting them all on fire. This is known as the Outlands Civil War, a very small conflict that we're not really going to talk about, but it essentially just serves as how the new status quo becomes a thing. This is where we introduce the Syndicate, a conglomerate of companies, mercenaries such as Blisk, and all types of evil, mean people that don't really give a damn about anyone, to essentially just sort the Outlands out. They did just that and made themselves the government, the Syndicate, and essentially reformed the planets of the Outlands in their own image, and just created it to be all prosperous and such, but secretly going behind people's back just to be evil and such. Corporations have the most power here. It's kind of like Cyberpunk, if you ask me. But to make it so people stop getting mad at all this mistreatment and just overall evilness, the Syndicate decided to create what is now known as the Apex games. Now, the Apex games originally was a blood sport called the Thunderdome, which was an IMC sport that was well hosted by the IMC before the Frontier War occurred. And this is where Blisk used to fight in. This is where many old IMC pilots and veterans just fought for the fame and glory. This was a lot more deadly though than the Apex games we have now, where it's just full of death and destruction, all around not really good. The Thunderdome competitors are now looked at as recluses and has-beens and just a bunch of old farts, including Blisk. But this is where we are introduced to the Apex games, which start off with the original 7 legends: Wraith, Bangalore, Bloodhound, Gibraltar, Lifeline, Pathfinder, and Caustic, who've all joined this blood sport for all types of different things. But this allows me to introduce the 7th legend and also the second hero of this story. I think you know who he is.
good. I'm good. What can I say? Did I say that I'm good? Because, well, I am.
Elliot was born on the planet Solus, the youngest of three other brothers, Elon, Ricky, and Roger. His mother was called Evelyn Witt. She was actually the sister of Rose Witt, making him Mirage's uncle. Evelyn created the holopilot and cloak pilot technology. This is the same technology that Cooper and other pilots used during the war. We do not know much about Elliot's father. He left the family some time ago, but he was an inventor. But Elliot doesn't really want to talk about his dad. If anything, he thinks he's just a deadbeat, which is probably true. Later, when the Outland Civil War kicked off, his brothers decided to fight for the for Solus. The young Elliot, who is obviously the youngest, also wanted to take part in the battle, but his mother told him that he couldn't go, so he would stay with her, and Elon, Ricky, and Roger would fight for Solus in the Civil War. Unfortunately, they didn't come back. We don't know where that they went. They vanished. It was quite a tragedy. This left Elliot, an only child, and now that it was just him and his mother. While he always wanted to seek attention, he didn't want it to happen like this. He didn't grow up getting many friends, but he shared a very strong friendship with his mother because he was the only son she had left. Elliot may have been a smart kid, but when it came to people, he just never really fit in. Years later, Elliot decided to open up a bar called the Paradise Lounge. He wanted to get some extra money on the side to help his mum out, who, with age, was starting to show very early signs of memory loss. This worried Elliot, but as one day, when cleaning the lounge, he heard about the Apex games. Now this could be the next big thing for him. He's seen the Apex games and how good they can be, and well, he wanted to sign up for them. But when he got home to tell his mother the news, Evelyn agreed with her son and created a prototype holosuit for him to use. Witt would refine this to create decoys that could follow his every move, make noises, and just be all around awesome. Then he would equip it and enter the Apex games as Mirage, the holographic trickster. And the rest we know is history. It is now the year 2730. The Apex games has officially kicked off its first season. And the first arena is on the planet where he lives, Solus, King's Canyon. So Elliot sort of knows his place already. So he's got the home field advantage. And well, not much has really happened in the season. Mirage has joined, and he's getting to know everybody. He doesn't really find any of the other legends interesting at all, but he sort of has a little friendship going on with Wraith and probably Pathfinder. Although he hates to admit it, he doesn't really like Pathfinder, no matter how many times Pathfinder calls him a friend. But over the seasons, Mirage just does just hangs around, bamboozles, foozles. Overall, just has a great time, having fun. All the while, we're trying to make his mother proud by appearing on a intergalactic television. Yeah. And while he's doing this, let's just say Elliot develops a bit of an ego. Well, once he starts getting a bit of fame and fortune, especially the fortune, Mirage sort of gets a little bit big-headed, essentially. But Witt is not one to be completely mean. He's still kind in his own way, but an egotistical side has obviously formed within him. This is why he has a commission to make a few ships that are basically just places where you can hang out, called the Mirage Voyage. And this appears later, but it just proves how much Elliot is really selling out, signing tons of sponsorship deals, trying to appear everywhere as much as he wants, and overall just wants to be an intergalactic celebrity, which is cool because it will make his mother all around more proud, and that's what he wants, especially when she's having trouble, remembering him. This leads us to season 2, where he officially meets Octane and Watson. He also is the first legend to use the L-Star EMG, a very reliable weapon if I do say so myself. He did meet Octane in Season 1, but they didn't really talk much. A rivalry between them was pretty much a thing, with Mirage always not being able to catch up to Octane, but I still think he can outrun Silver no matter what. And during this, the King's Canyon is encountered some sort of event where the tower fell down and caused tons of wildlife to invade the little island. And he tries to keep out of the way of all the giant leviathans and flyers. In Season 3, Elliot travels to World's Edge, but he meets the man who destroyed that tower, Crypto, the old man. Let's just say Elliot thinks he is the smartest man in the islands, which he is, let's be honest. But he then thinks Crypto is the second smartest guy. This starts off a very friendly rivalry between the two, where Crypto always calls Mirage a kid, and Mirage always calls Crypto an old man. But yeah, Wick travels to World's Edge, the fiery / very freezing cold arena on Talos, and also uses the charge rifle for the first time. A very powerful railgun sniper rifle. Well, that was originally very powerful, but... And this is the same season where his Mirage Voyage travels to World's Edge for the Christmas event in which he hosts. He actually breaks the fourth wall to talk to people in real life. Well, long story short. And he even created his own name for it, the Holo Days. Get it? Because holograms as decoys that he uses. Ugh. But he hosts his own little event called Holiday Express, which is good fun for everybody. And he narrates it himself because he's awesome. But below his Mirage Voyage on World's Edge, a phone can be found dropped on the floor. On this phone, it reveals a phone call between him and his mother, and it shows that Mirage's life isn't going so well, as Evelyn is once more struggling to remember who her son is. We then are introduced into Season 4 with Revenant, but Revenant mostly just taunts Elliot about his mother forgetting him, but Mirage ignores his comments and uses the new Sentinel bolt-action sniper rifle to fight against him. Meanwhile, World's Edge starts to fall apart with earthquakes and crazy geological activities. We are then introduced to Season 5, where Loba makes the appearance for the first time, and she's on the mission to hunt down Revenant, of course. But Mirage doesn't really care for this. I mean, he has not want something to do with this. But she made it his problem when she destroyed King's Canyon a bit by blowing up Schooltown, and Mirage hated this. So Elliot begrudgingly, along with the other legends, help Loba try and track down Revenant. But Revenant decides to go really evil and even hurt Watson, and sends monsters and such after Mirage and the other legends. Elliot manages to quell the beasts and horrible monsters, but during these little tasks that he's being sent on, he comes across pieces of another simulacrum, and after piecing them all together, he comes across the same simulacrum Cooper crushed years ago, Ash. This season is also when Elliot receives his heirloom, a golden statue of himself that he calls too much wit because they can never have enough wit. And when he looks at this heirloom, he always says that his mom will be proud of him. Because it's a golden statue of himself, it's awesome. I mean, seriously, look at it. And before being given a chance to question any of this, Mirage is then introduced to Rampart in Season 6, who forcibly makes her way into his life. Mirage really doesn't really like her, but he also uses the Volt submachine gun for the first time. A very powerful energy submachine gun when it first released, but it's now just kind of boring today. Eventually, he does grow to at least tolerate Rampart, with them joking around and such, and just be friends with each other while sharing the same room. But during this, Ash is suffering from flashbacks about the war, and even meets Blisk after a long time, who has stated that even he destroyed her once as well, creating a bit of a uneasy trust between the two of them. Mirage is present to witness one of these flashbacks that she has, and it puts him on edge. During this on World's Edge, the place is being reformatted and rebuilt, along with a giant rocket, along with tons of barricades and such. Mirage is unsure of what this is, but he goes to tamper with this rocket just because he's that sort of person to investigate things like that. Just as we do this, we then transition into Season 7, where Mirage accidentally sends the rocket flying, along with tons of things that Rampart had stored in there for some reason. While this happens, World's Edge sort of goes into a bit of an explosion thing, and Mirage and Rampart just barely escape the collapsing platform, with Pathfinder rescuing them in a ship. They then travel to Olympus, the floating city on Samanthine, and unfortunately they are shot down from a malfunctioning cannon. Mirage manages to land safely out from the ship, but discovers how beautiful this new arena is. He then comes across Horizon, and the two of them have a very very wholesome friendship, with Mirage always trying to make Horizon proud, because she always treats him in a very nice way, which is something that Mirage deserves. He deserves to be treated nicely, like anyone does. He then learns how to drive the Trident, a hovercraft vehicle that Mirage always says he's good at driving, which he is. He doesn't really take part in the story of Season 7. It mostly just revolves around other legends. So we're just gonna skip to Season 8, where Fuse is introduced, who has brought his ship to King's Canyon. Mirage thinks that ship is a serious safety hazard, but everyone reassures him that it's not. But just as this happened, Mad Maggie decides to hijack the ship and blow everything up. Elliot manages to get the heck out of the way, and the ship crashes into King's Canyon, causing one massive crater and making the map even more more exploded. And now Mirage has to be brave and explore this ship for secrets. Coming across the 30-30 lever action rifle, a good gun back in Season 8, but now it's just really terrible. And also, he's not really involved in the story of this season either. But his voyage does return, and it now appears on King's Canyon. And once more, another phone call can be found that shows Evelyn sending a voicemail to Mirage, and once again, struggling to remember what his name is, even calling him his father's name by accident. But she mentions Mirage's uncle, Droz, and along with Blisk as well. She has quite a little funny conversation, but you can see that she's just not doing so well. We're now going to skip to Season 9, where back on Olympus, a weird ship has appeared and has then now crashed into the floating arena, spreading some horrible, nasty plant all over the place. This is where Mirage first comes across Valkyrie, the daughter of Viper, and let's just say Elliot just doesn't really, I don't know, you'd think they'd get along, but they never talk to each other, I don't know. But either way, this awful plant virus thingamajig just starts infecting people, including Bangalore, and the legends have to work together to find a cure. Mirage begrudgingly helps on this. He explores the virus ship and doesn't really come across anything of importance, just the place is a mess. But he helps anyway, and they all help get a cure. Bangalore is back at full health. And the day is saved, and Mirage revels in this victory. And this season is when he discovers the bow check compound bow. Quite an interesting weapon, but Mirage has never really been much of an archer. He's more of just more of a bamboozler, and he likes using guns, like the Wingman and Peacekeeper and such. But anyway, Ash also sets up the arena, which is basically just a smaller 3v3 mode, where Mirage did discover in Season 8 via a teaser in the firing range. He came across this and didn't really know what to think of it, but now here it is in full force, which is overall it was fun at first, but now it's just kind of meh. But Ash is now starting to plan things that Elliot is afraid of. Hopefully it won't go too far though. Mirage will become evil. His morals can never be shaken. This is where we go to season 10. Nothing much happens in this season, but Mirage has a flashback to when he first created the holograms. A vision of his mother appears, but he tries his best not to think about it. But World's Edge is even more destroyed and just absolutely falling apart at the seams. Seer is introduced, but Mirage encountered one of Seer's drones in season 9, but he didn't really know what to think of it, and he just found him, and he didn't find him very spectacular. Mirage can always put on a better show than Seer can, even if Seer's a better performer. Anyway, Mirage comes across one of his favourite weapons in this season, the Rampage Light Machine Gun, a weapon made by Rampart to just absolutely decimate enemies with its awesome amount of damage. We are now in season 11, where Elliot now travels to Storm Point, the tropical paradise on Gaia. This is where he's first introduced to Ash, who is now joining the games herself as a legend. Upon arriving to Storm Point, everyone else seems to be very worried about the tropical paradise. Where everyone's trying to have fun. Bangalore is a bit worried about it. Mirage just tells her not to worry and says that he's never leaving this place because it's probably the most relaxed he's ever been. After falling asleep, Elliot wakes up to the sight of a prowler and quickly makes a daring escape. He takes down the prowler with the help of a few others, and then truly discovers how horrible Storm Point really is, with spiders and prowlers and flyers and all around just deadly wildlife out to get him. So he tries his best to maneuver around those wildlife and, well, try and win matches as well while he's doing this. All the while, Ash is having some sort of thing with Horizon that once more, Mirage doesn't really have. Elliot really doesn't have anything to do with this story. So, but he's the first ever person to experience Storm Point because he's the first one to wake up once everyone is washed up on the shore of the island. So instead, I'm going to talk about Mirage being introduced to the Combat Advanced Round Submachine Gun, or the CAR SMG for short. A really powerful SMG when it first released, but now it's just a shadow of its former self. Just don't use it. We now move on to season 12 with Mad Maggie joining, well, not really joining, being forced into the Apex games for the Legends to kill. Elliot is on Olympus when this is all happening, and he's the first to see Mad Maggie when she's first dropped into the arena. And he even says that, don't we have to kill her? And he's right, he does have to kill her. But Mirage refuses, instead letting the other Legends do this. He's a pacifist and won't kill. That's what I like about Elliot. Maggie sets off a chain of events that causes Olympus to sort of glitch out and teleport to a different planet, causing Mirage to almost be crushed by a box, but he comes back as always. He barely just survives the fall himself. Elliot explores the more glitched out and destroyed Olympus with constant broken pieces everywhere. He also explored that ship in season 9, but made sure to wear a gas mask when he was approaching those weird vines, just as a little heads up if you was wondering what happened about all that. It's how we found the cure. Anyway, we now go to season 13 where Newcastle is introduced. Mirage doesn't think Newcastle is a good legend at all, and well, after an awesome dance party where Mirage shows everyone how awesome his dancing moves are, the match begins, and Elliot lands on Storm Point once more, but something weird starts to happen. The ground begins to shake underneath him, and giant armories appear from the ground. IMC armories, to be exact. Mirage is unsure what they are, but before he gets the chance to explore them, he's unfortunately taken out. But he manages to get away in time because something really bad happens that he misses, but he probably wouldn't have liked it anyway. But essentially, a giant monster pops out from out this sea, and all the Legends have to fight him. Elliot watches from a distance, not wanting to deal with stuff like that because that's not really much of his forte. He would go in there and save the day, but they didn't deserve his help. And Mirage made quite a good profit by selling what was left of that monster as food, and he made a very small fortune from it. now in season 14, Mirage's season, as I like to nickname it, Mirage comes across Advantage, and discovers that Kings Canyon has been a bit cleaned up, a little bit more fixed up, and there's been a lot of health and safety things added to try and prevent that ship that crashed in season 8 to spread more toxic environments and stuff. There's this corporation called like the Echo Foundation. I don't know what to call it, something, but there's some sort of like hazard containment place, and Mirage has discovered that Kings Canyon is overwhelmed by all these buildings that are trying to fix the place up. But regardless, he comes across Vantage and he doesn't really understand, like, he doesn't really get her, but he decides to teach her a few things about how to act in society, because it's obvious that she's not really talked to like anyone, because she grew up on a planet by herself with her mum. So Elliot goes out his way to just help her, like a friend does. Before he even met her, Mirage was actually setting up a party for himself, but he accidentally forgot to send invites, meaning no one showed up, which gets him really angry. This sort of builds on Mirage not really like getting like not really understanding if the legends do care about him or not, and he doesn't care if they care about him or not. He's a one-man show. All he needs is himself and his decoys and his good looks. But he gets really mad at the other legends and actually starts getting really upset. But while he's at the bar, the Paradise Lounge, his awesome thing, he was trying to talk to someone who's even ignoring him because they're asleep. But Vantage comes across him, and like he did with Rampart and Rave, he actually tells Vantage a little bit about his backstory and gets a little bit tearful about it regarding his mother, Evelyn, and his father, who left the family along with his siblings. With Vantage struggling to understand because... Anyway, the mood is suddenly changed as tons of legends flock into the bar, telling Mirage that he didn't send out invites, showing that they do in fact care about him. This warms Elliot's heart, and he's a lot more thankful that the other legends do care about him, because aside from his mother, even though he hates to admit it, the legends are the only family he's really got left. But he's still a one-man show. Him and his decoys are still Team Mirage, let's be honest. Mirage then suddenly gets an invite, a golden ticket if you will, and it tells him to go to the arena on the moon of Cleo. Elliot is unsure of what this is, but always the adventurous one, he takes the ticket and goes to the arena. A dropship is waiting for him, and he jumps in, and the ship takes off. He then arrives at what is now known as Broken Moon, the newest arena being built for the Apex games on the moon of Cleo. Mirage explores this and is very excited for the future to come. This leads us to Season 15. Season 15, introduces Catalyst. Mirage doesn't really talk to her much, and he just doesn't really interact at all, to be honest. He does explore Broken Moon now, and is astonished by the zip rails that allow him to zip around really quickly on the rocky arena of Cleo. You can see, like, above him, the giant field that protects Borealis, or Boreas, I think it's Boreas, which is the main planet, which is the main planet that Cleo surrounds. Cleo got hit by an asteroid a few years back, so that thing is there to protect the planet from being hit by its own moon, and it's quite scary. Hopefully nothing happens to that protection barrier. He likes traveling like that quick on a map. Shame about there being no jump towers though, but he has fun there. And he isn't really involved in the story of this season either. It's mostly just about Serum Catalyst. The story that he wasn't involved in season 8 was just about Bloodhound, Lifeline, and Fuse. So we're just gonna skip to season 16, the first anniversary season of Apex, and let's just say Elliot has a lot of fun there. Season 16 adds a ton of like balloons of Mirage himself to all the maps, and a thing is added to the games, a mode called Team Deathmatch, which is kind of like Arena's, but Arena unfortunately got removed from that. No, really good mode. And Mirage has a lot of fun in Team Deathmatch. It's a lot more fast-paced than normal Battle Royale, but it's alright. He's also been introduced to a new weapon known as the Nemesis, a very powerful energy rifle that was made by Rampart. Well, technically, the prototype was made by Rampart, and it was stolen by her rivals. Mirage even comments on this and tries to reassure Rampart that it's still her gun at the end of the day, like a true friend would. And during this, he just has fun in this anniversary. He just likes it a lot. He has tons of fun. Eats plenty of sweets and chocolate, and has fun on the games and such. Just has all around one good time. And also is a lot more powerful due to his decoys getting a massive upgrade. But unfortunately, that's at the cost of not being able to bamboozle grenades or bamboozle enemy traps, which is very much annoying, and they should have never taken that out of the game. Anyway, while he's at his bar, just cleaning the place up, Gibraltar visits, and Elliot is confused about why Gibraltar actually looks a bit angry, like he's never seen him angry before. But Gibraltar explains that he's getting tons of alerts from his the thing he used to do before he was a legend. I think he was like some sort of search and rescue thing. I think it's called Saris. I don't know what it is. But they're all just scam calls from people wanting to hang out with him because he's a legend. And a legend is basically a celebrity, as we all know. And Gibraltar's annoyed by that. And Mirage is like, don't sweat it, dude. Being a celebrity is awesome. I mean, come on. The amount of sponsorship deals you get, the amount of fans you get, the amount of money. Oh, the money. But yeah, Gibraltar's annoyed by this, with Elliot being very confused. I mean, seriously, who doesn't want to be famous? Seriously, fame and fortune is awesome. But then an alert is sounded, and it's actually a legitimate one. Apparently, someone's in trouble, and Mirage decides to join Gibraltar on this adventure because to be a proper hero, Mirage wants to rescue this person. And upon doing this, they rescue this person, and Gibraltar has an interesting discovery of who that person is. But meanwhile, Mirage is just reveling in the glory that he actually saved someone for real this time. But being a hero is awesome, and he likes this very much like Jack before him. So Elliot decides that he'll tag on with Gibraltar to save more fans that need help. After this, Mirage is just training in the firing range, honing his skills, trying to be awesome like he always is. He comes across a magazine, a weird little comic that shows a disgruntled old veteran or whatever father joining the games in the next season. Mirage reminisces about his own dad, but ultimately gets upset once more. We are then introduced in season 17 with Ballistic joining. Mirage thinks Ballistic is pretty cool and boasts about this. But season 17 also adds a new museum to World's Edge. Elliot tries to explore it, but he's always constantly getting shot at. He always tries to avoid it all. But he does manage to have a glimpse at the museum, and he likes what he's done with the place. And even comments on the amount of Mirage merchandise being sold there. Because, merchandise is what matters to him more than anything else. During this, the firing range is refurbished, allowing Mirage to have a lot more freedom and a lot more, just overall more options when it comes to honing his skills. He appreciates the new firing range changes in season 17, but the new firing range makes him miss the old days of when he first joined. Guess it was never meant to last. We then are introduced to the awful, horrible plotline known as Kill Code. And let's just say, Mirage, while not involved in this story, does try and make a few discoveries of his own behind the scenes. But we're not going to cover the adventure of Loba trying to kill Resident 5 different times. But yeah, we're not going to cover that until at least season 19. But I just really want to avoid it because this is a terrible story. Anyway, let's cut to season 18 where Revenant has been reborn and the charge rifle gets a terrible change, and Mirage hates this change. Upon exploring Storm Point for a bit, Elliot realizes that the weather above Storm Point is starting to develop into some crazy hurricane class like weather, and he looks on one of the TV screens in one of the monitors on just in one of the place in the buildings, and he realizes that a very scary storm is on the way, and he quickly decides to get out of Dodge. Ignoring all of the stuff that happens in Kill Code, we are now transferred into Season 19 with Mirage meeting Conduit and gives her advice on how to be awesome in the games. But let's be honest, the only one that's awesome around here is him. So she's nothing compared to him. But Elliot does notice that Conduit is not really finding many friends, and he tries to at least help her out on this, with Gibraltar's help as well. He also briefly uses a really cool sword from Final Fantasy VII to decimate his opponent. Long story, some sort of crossover event. He then explores the now refurbished Storm Point. After the storm hit the place, it was all destroyed and wrecked, causing all the armories to be destroyed, which Mirage always likes exploring. He always likes battling the robots there to earn awesome loot and rewards. He's quite a hacker expert as well, so he knew how to hack into them as well. Oh well. Anyway, upon exploring this new, cleaned up and a little bit more messy still, Storm Point, he not only discovers that there's a ton of new places to go, but he also notices that this is the perfect opportunity to have his Mirage Voyage appear here. So he lets his Voyage stays here for a little bit. He's done it in a couple of other seasons with it appearing on World's Edge, King's Canyon, and Storm Point, but also Broken Moon for a bit as well. But nothing really happens story-wise there, so we're just gonna leave it at that. But he also discovers a secret bunker in where Revenant's army from the Kill Code story started off. This scares Mirage a bit, and he prepares for a battle. Right on cue, a ton of ships appear over Storm Point, and Revenant army descends on Elliot. Mirage must quickly fight this army and must navigate towards a dropship to get out of there safely. He manages to get away, and once he gets back to the other legends, he brings up good questions against Mad Maggie and Octane for why this even happened, and they both dodge the questions, leading Elliot to be more curious. And Detective Mirage returns once more to find out the answers. He also finds a door on the right side of the firing range, and upon further inspection, he actually manages to overhear eavesdrop on a conversation between Octane and Lifeline. A very emotional one, which Mirage doesn't fully understand, but he has a bad feeling about it. And little did he know, what he heard that day eventually led to what we now know as the Revenant Army. We then enter into our second anniversary season, which is quite odd considering the last anniversary season was season 16, but regardless of all that, we are introduced to season 20, when Mirage gets some brand new upgrades to his holotech. Not only is he able to cloak for a lot longer, but his ultimate ability is able to recharge a lot quicker, where he cloaks and sends multiple decoys, but he can also spot enemies from a much larger distance upon bamboozling them, but also carry more than one decoy. Unfortunately though, these decoys can no longer bamboozle traps or bamboozle explosives. They just destroy. How the heck is a holographic projection destroyed? That makes no sense. Anyway, regardless. The maps also get, balloons put all over the place again, because, it is an anniversary season, and his Voyage returns. Did it return in season 18 or this season? Who cares? It returns to World's Edge, and he has a lot of fun back on the Voyage. No phone call from his mother, unfortunately. Anyway, not only does that happen, but also the museum on World's Edge gets a little bit of an update, and Elliot investigates to not only find a pilot helmet, but Jack Cooper's time travel technology that he used back during the events of the war. What was that doing there? Elliot is intrigued by this and wants to find out more, but also comes across a prototype heirloom for Octane. Ugh. We're just going to address the elephant in the room here. Season 20 was dedicated way too much to Octane, including the main story, which we're not even going to mention. Apart from Octane getting a little bit upset about his grandfather dying. Torres, I think his name is. And, he died during Kill Code, where Mirage was obviously not a part of, because Mirage doesn't kill. He's a pacifist, he doesn't kill people, which is what I like about him. He has morals, unlike some legends. This season also introduced a new shield system where Mirage can upgrade himself in combat, as I said earlier with the upgrades, but also a brand new arena map, well not really arena map, a team deathmatch map, that has all of Mirage's fans cheering him in a massive Thunderdome. People are screaming his name, cheering. It makes Elliot very proud, and his mum is probably watching him from Solus, probably very proud of him too. The story also hinted towards a bit of Horizon, planning to do some time travel stuff, but Mirage eventually decides to help her out with this, which leads us to season 21, where a lot will transpire. This starts off at the tail end of season 20. Mirage just hanging out on Olympus, and he spots in the distance another Olympus, just in the distance. It's really glitchy and just teleports all over the place. He's unsure of what this is. Later, on another match on Broken Moon, he sees something in the distance, like that Olympus from earlier, and it gets closer and closer and closer, and then bang! It blows up the protection field around Cleo, causing the moon to drift off course from Boreas and send asteroids flying all over the place. This massive destruction signals the arrival of Alter in season 21. Mirage, Lifeline, and Horizon are just hanging out on the city known as E-District, which is also on the planet Gaia. Elliot is coming up with ways to try and get that time travel device to work, but suddenly the lights turn off, and Horizon is wondering why. Probably something to do with the blackouts that are surrounding the entire city due to the power being shut off and constant riots, and it's a long story. But as the lights go back on, Mirage and Lifeline go missing, leaving Horizon alone. After exploring for a bit, she comes across Alter, who has captured Lifeline and Elliot. They fight, and Mirage manages to actually get the upper hand on Alter, using his decoys to essentially trap her, but with a lucky grenade, he goes flying. Thankfully, he manages to get himself back up, but by the time he gets back to trying to fight her, Horizon has already, defeated Alter. This kicks off, season 21, and upon returning to Broken Moon, Mirage has noticed that the place is entirely different, all destroyed and broken up, even more broken than before. And when he looks into the sky, he can see as it's drifting closer and closer to its planet of Boreas. The other legends are obviously concerned about this, but Elliot really doesn't want the arena to, just crash. In this new season, Mirage is able to go solo and fight all the opponents by himself. And he does that and wins the game by himself, as always. He could have always done it. Regardless, not only is he thinking that Alter is an absolute weirdo and goes out his way to always comment on how evil she is compared to his awesome moral compass of always being good. And let's just say he just doesn't want to go near her, and he easily defeats her in battle whenever he comes across her, because his decoys literally her little tail thing that she stands no chance against his decoys. But not only is he concerned about her, but also Wraith and a few other legends think she's a bit weird. Also Lifeline, who was thrown into a closet by Alter. But upon this all happening, Mirage then discovers that Alter has a piece of the Ark, the same weapon that Cooper destroyed years ago. He's unsure where the heck she got this from, and keeps a low profile, doesn't slip up, doesn't mess around. He just bides his time and waits. And this leads us to season 22. After briefly visiting E-District in the last season, Mirage finally gets to explore the entire place as an arena for the newest season. This city has a lot of things that you can investigate. Two things that you can investigate first. There are two destroyed bridges that allow the city to be disconnected from the main city of Sumato. I can't pronounce it. But the E-District part of this main city, cut off because of some sort of riot or energy crisis that happened roughly before the place was turned into arena. A similar thing was happening to Cleo back during season 15, which was originally a lot of people's homes, but the place was bulldozed and turned into an arena for the Apex games, which is quite bad. But he also notices that the place is just all around destroyed and just not doing so well, with graffiti and broken bits and pieces everywhere, and constant fires too. It's not looking too good, but at least his sponsorship deals is going well with him promoting his cereal, which is seen all over the place, but also random graffiti and wanted posters for like people like Elijah, Vantage's mother, Caustic of all people as well. But there is probably a reason for this. See, back in I think around season 8 or 9ish, Caustic was planning on placing tons of his gas all over Solar City. This is of course where Mirage's mother lives, and Elliot tried to prevent this, but it was ultimately Watson that stopped Caustic from doing this. But Mirage was going to act and deal with Caustic if that were to ever happen, showing that Mirage does care, and just all around, all different type of people. But Mirage is also focusing on the fact that he can now dual wield the Mozambique and P2020. He makes good use of this and decimates opponents in the new mode that allows him to get more kills quicker. Unfortunately, he doesn't win many matches though, which creates sort of a losing streak for him. And he quickly fixes this by getting a win, where he absolutely just demolishes Lifeline. After getting this win, he gets tons of replies from his fans, and who will wish him good luck and stuff, and wish him all sorts of praise. Elliot is of course proud of this, but accidentally voices someone's opinions on Lifeline by calling her bad at the games and garbage. This offends Lifeline, and Mirage didn't mean it in that way. Lifeline forgives him, and Elliot now feels a bit bad for just, being a jerk. To someone he doesn't even talk to, so I don't understand why. But it does show that he at least has a heart. And that leads us to now. Mirage has a good amount of friends. He may not really like Crypto, but they're frenemies. He says he doesn't like Pathfinder, but no, they're alright. He's friends with Wraith, very, very good friends with Wraith, who even says that his mom is his number one fan. And Mirage agrees, his mom is his number one fan. But also Rampart, who's just a great roommate, and just overall, he eventually learned to tolerate her. And Octane, who he also has a bit of a friendly rivalry with, but let's be honest, Mirage will always beat him in combat. Elliot's life looks good so far, and he also shares a good relationship with Horizon, who always treats him as such. But Mirage's life is looking pretty good. His pork chop recipe will always be the best, and he always cook the best food. If he continues to be nice to people and just overall makes people a little bit more cheerful and helps people out, like a true gentleman, I think Elliot will do good things. And if he's doing this all just to make his mum proud and just to remember him, I say let Elliot carry on. Because as long as nothing bad happens to her and everything goes well for Mirage, maybe one day he'll be reunited with the rest of his family. Maybe one day, Elliot Witt will become something that Jack Cooper became. While I believe Mirage could become a pilot himself like Jack, I think Elliot will become one thing that Jack already is. Not a legend, but a hero. But the story is far from over. The Frontier and the Outlands hold many secrets. Secrets that our two heroes will one day discover. The galaxy may not be the same place that it used to be, but Jack and Elliot will always be there in your time of need. Like a true legend, like a true pilot, like a true hero.